Happy Halloween. I thought I would take this opportunity to talk about 3 things that spook emerging leaders that can actually end up holding them back. Now, the first one probably isn't going to come as a big surprise to you, because a lot of people are out there talking about it, and they have been for a while now, and that is failure. I mean, emerging leaders are completely spooked by the notion of failure, of something going wrong, of making a bad decision, of launching a product or a service that might flop, of not hitting their goals. Whatever it might be, it scares the hell out of them. And I'll tell you, over the years, I've been very fortunate because since this is such a popular topic, I've had a lot of podcast conversations with experts about this to find out things like, why are we so afraid of failure? And even what are ways that we can get over that, maybe shift that perspective or that paradigm. And there was one expert that I spoke to who explained why. Why are we so afraid of this? And I love how she put it, because she said, look, we've basically been programmed to go out into the world and succeed. I mean, it's been hammered into our heads that failure is going to bring things like disappointment and shame and embarrassment and humiliation. So of course, I mean, it makes sense that we're scared to death of it. And that can hurt us, right? I mean, because if you're looking at it and you're afraid of it and you're spooked by it, you're going to do things like you're going to turn down opportunities. You're going to resist change. You're going to possibly become preoccupied with other people's opinions of you and even your work. You're going to possibly avoid taking chances that you need to take. And she had this great recommendation, which I'm going to read here. She said, stop defining failure as the opposite of success. Instead, define it as the opposite of trying. And remember, you can be afraid to fail, but you can't achieve success if you are afraid to even try. I love that quote and that notion. In fact, I was speaking to another expert on this topic who gave another recommendation, and she had said that we need to make failure a goal and make it a goal to get more comfortable with discomfort and realize that failure is indeed an option on the road to success. I even had the opportunity to speak to Chris Angel. If you know Chris Angel, the illusionist, a lot of you folks probably know who he is. He had a great quote. He had said, "Failure is the step before success." And I think those are just some great recommendations and some great ways to kind of shift the way we think about failure. Another thing that spooks emerging leaders is saying no, right? And there's a lot of reasons why people are hesitant to say no to people about things, projects, or whatever it might be. I mean, they might just be uncomfortable with, let's say, conflict or confrontation, and they feel that saying no can maybe lead to a disagreement or pushback from team members or even stakeholders. And they kind of fear that. They don't want that confrontation. They may be the types of people who just want to be liked, right? They might have that desire to be liked, and they feel like if they say no, they're going to be seen as negative or uncooperative, and it might hurt their popularity or their reputation. They might just lack assertiveness. They might find it challenging to set some boundaries, and maybe even they might find it challenging to express their own needs and their own priorities, and they end up prioritizing other people's needs and projects over their own. And the list goes on and on as to why people are afraid to say no. But the thing is, for emerging leaders, you need to strike that balance between being accommodating and saying yes and being assertive and saying no, because saying no is necessary sometimes. I mean, this, especially, and it's a real crucial aspect of leadership. I mean, it helps you set priorities. It helps you manage your resources. It even helps the organization just stay on track to reach its goals. The last thing I'll talk about, the last thing that spooks emerging leaders, and I talk about this all the time, is this idea of being vulnerable. Right? Emerging leaders are completely spooked by the idea of being vulnerable, being authentic, basically being human. I mean, they want to come off as having all the answers. They want to come off as polished. I mean, I could tell you this: they would never sit on a video and post something wearing a mask like this. But you see, that's the problem. I mean, people, they don't realize that people want to work with leaders who are real, leaders who know what they don't know, leaders who will admit when they were wrong, leaders who are even willing to have a little bit of fun, right? So showing your vulnerable side, your human side, it's not something that you should hide or something that you should, fear. It's something that you should celebrate and let people see, let people in on, and let them experience that. Now, obviously, the list of things that spook emerging leaders, I mean, we could go on and on here. I mean, you could, and if you want, you could even add to the list in the comment section just to kind of keep this conversation going. Because I love this conversation. I mean, I think it's such an important one to have to develop emerging leaders and really nip a lot of these fears in the bud to show them that they're not warranted. You don't need to be spooked by these things. In fact, I mean, here's an idea for all of you learning and development, or I guess I would say HR groups that are out there. Maybe consider producing a limited run internal or private podcast about this topic, where each episode addresses a different fear. I mean, we've talked about 3 of them today. And like I said, release it internally or privately to the emerging leaders in your organization as part of your leadership development curriculum. That might be a good way to help them get over the hump and see that you're aware of these fears, but they aren't warranted. And here's the ways you can get past them. Happy Halloween.